Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, February 6th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mostly cloudy day on the way. We could get a dusting of snow tonight. If you're in Suffolk County, maybe 1 to 3 inches. Here in the city, not even an inch, but the high 32. And then the weekend, Saturday, cloudy, windy, high 24, and Sunday's the worst of it. Sunny, but bitterly cold, the high 17. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 16 cloudy in Rye and up in Westchester, 14 and cloudy in Edison over in New Jersey, and it's 13 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Nancy Guthrie's son pleads for his mother to be returned. Ronald Hicks set to become the new archbishop. Nurses on the picket line are cuffed. A Long Island teacher apologizing to students for what he said. And would you like to be turned into fertilizer when you die? All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Cameron Guthrie, brother of Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie, asking whoever abducted his mother from her Tucson home over the weekend to contact the Guthrie family ASAP. He went with this on social media last night.
This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
All right, so that was the statement from the Guthrie family yesterday. The day before, it was from Savannah Guthrie. The Pima County Sheriff holding a press conference trying to detail everything they know so far. The FBI says they're aware of that ransom letter sent to media outlets. The search for Guthrie now, its 6th day in southern Arizona. And the update they held yesterday, the Pima County Sheriff expressing hope that he thinks Nancy could still be alive. Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's mom.
We just want her home and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do.
Now, he says investigators still looking into all the tips that are coming in. They have not identified a suspect or a person of interest.
You know, they just hurt, understandably so. And so I really want you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you.
Yeah, so they're really saying trying to get to the bottom of this with the help of the FBI, the federal government involved.
We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why we brought in the FBI for one, but PCRIT as well.
Then there was a candlelight service in Tucson. These people turned out to pray for the safe return of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie.
We're obviously all hoping that she finds her way home and is safe.
I just wish for her to come home and for God to just give her peace in whatever situation she's in right now.
Lisa Contreras is a former co-worker of Savannah Guthrie.
We want her to know that she has our support, our love, and our hope that Nancy returns home safe and sound.
Another co-worker of Savannah's, Lupita Marilla, took part in this service as well.
Just feel that this is what we need to do, to come together and to show our support for a fellow colleague that we love very dearly, and we love our mother too.
Yeah, so not very many new details in this thing. Neighbors of Nancy Guthrie reported spotting a suspicious white van parked on their street in the days before the 84-year-old vanished. Whether that has any connection to her missing story, we do not know. New details revealed that blood found in Nancy Guthrie's porch did belong to her, and that front door camera is also missing. Authorities say it had detected motion at about 2 a.m. on Sunday. But again, the sheriff's department right outside of Tucson saying it absolutely believes that Nancy Guthrie could still be alive. And, of course, as more details come on this case that's just gripping the nation, of course, we'll pass it on to you. Let's bring it back home. WABC News Time 5:04. Get ready for some of the coldest temperatures in our area in years.
Forecasters say a polar vortex is bringing in brutal Arctic air this weekend. Frigid air will be sweeping in from the north, plunging temperatures at night to single digits. On Saturday, the high will only be in the 20s, Sunday around 20 degrees, but the wind chills will make it feel colder because winds will be gusting at times up to 40 miles per hour. However, with the wind chills, the temperature Saturday night is expected to hit -10 and on Sunday down to -5 degrees. Lisa G, 77 WABC News.
The NFL got to love that weather. That means more people will be home watching the Super Bowl. Out to Brooklyn, where a child was hit and killed by a school bus in Bath Beach. There is video that shows the moments leading up to this horrific, tragic accident. The 11-year-old was trying to race across the crosswalk as a bus was making a left turn onto 23rd Avenue. This was about 3 o'clock after school let out. Here's somebody who witnessed it.
She sprinted. She just took off and tried to like if you see a train coming and you try to run to beat the train, it was just like that. Being that I've driven those type of vehicles, it's hard to see because the dimensions, you're higher, there's things blocking.
Everybody raced in to try to save this child. She was taken to Maimonides Medical Center where she passed away. The driver of the school bus did not remain on the scene, was located by police a couple of hours later, several miles away in Brooklyn. It's not clear that the driver knew that they had hit somebody.
I also don't like is those turns where it's our green light. We cross, but the cars turn.
Yeah, well, that's always an issue. And workers at a bodega on the corner where this accident took place, they say they knew the girl well, that she would stop by pretty often to pick up chocolate and even a soda after school ended during the day. And they say that's what had just happened, that she had bought chocolate and a soda moments before she was hit and killed on that Brooklyn street. WABC News Time 5:09. The final preparations well underway for the incoming Archbishop of New York's installation ceremony this afternoon at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Ronald Hicks, the bishop, will become the archbishop, set to take the helm of the archdiocese that oversees more than 2 million Catholics across 4 of the 5 boroughs and the Hudson Valley. He shared his excitement for today during a Vesper service yesterday.
New York is a place where the whole world lives and calls home. And the Catholic Church is universal, gathering and engaging everyone.
Cardinal Dolan, of course, has been the face of the city's church since 2009. Will pass the baton to Hicks, who's from a diocese in Joliet, Illinois.
There are going to be many representatives from the many New York faith traditions. Plus, we'll have people from government, business, labor, service, education, first responders, the arts.
Yes, security going to be extra tight around St. Patrick's Cathedral today, so if you are going in that direction, you might want to stay away from there, of course, unless you have an invite. Democratic primary in New Jersey's 11th congressional district. There was a vote yesterday. You might not have known that. Too close to call. This is the seat that Mikey Sherrill gave up to run for governor.
Anna Lilia Mejia is on the cusp of a primary upset that would send shockwaves through Democrats nationwide. Mejia leads former Congressman Tom Malinowski by 0.7 of a point, or just 486 votes out of more than 61,000 votes cast. NBC News is calling the race too close to call. A Mejia win would be a huge showing for progressives, especially in a rare Thursday primary. The Democratic nominee will face Republican Randolph Mayor Joe Hathaway in the special general election April 16th. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New Jersey.
Let's head on down to Washington, where last night the president launching TrumpRx.com. This is his low-cost drug platform.
But they're going way down for the United States. come all the way down by a difference of as much as 300, 400, 500, even 600%, even more than that in some cases.
The president speaking about this new direct-to-consumer, lower-cost drug platform, which will offer some of the medications manufactured by companies like Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, that have entered into this most favored nation pricing agreement with the administration. So the talk for so many years is that you'd have to cross the border to get some of these drugs cheaper. Well, now you'll be able to head over to this website.
AstraZeneca is slashing the price of a common inhaler from $458 to $51, a difference of nearly 800%.
Obscene that Americans have been paying so much for it for so long.
And then we had to get all of these countries worldwide to lower their prices, and for us, help us lower our price. And what they did is, again, their prices went up by double, triple, and even sometimes 4 and 5 times.
Dr. Oz took part of this press conference talking about weight loss drugs, and weight loss should be a big part of this.
We project that America will lose about 100 million pounds this year, which is going to make not only folks a lot healthier, but a lot easier to manage when they do get ill.
Yeah, all right. So I haven't checked out the website, but TrumpRx.com. 513. Head out to Los Angeles. 3 dead, 7 others injured after a car crashed into a grocery store in the Westwood section of Los Angeles yesterday afternoon. Now, the L.A. police captain raced to the scene, and they determined pretty quickly it was accidental.
The vehicle collided with the cyclist and then unintentionally lost control of the vehicle, which continued southbound and collided into the bakery.
Fire officials have identified the driver as an elderly woman and say she was being evaluated yesterday. The crash happened middle of the day.
Unfortunately, the folks in the bakery were hit, and 3 individuals succumbed to their injuries. The incident is unintentional, and it's just unfortunate accident.
Among the 7 injured, there are at least 3 people, serious condition, 2 with minor injuries. 514, it's almost the 8th anniversary of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School massacre down in Florida, and the victims' families, they're demanding that the Broward Sheriff's Office and the Broward Commissioner accept in front of a jury liability and responsibility for their failures that day.
They have been delaying this and delaying this and delaying this, and candidly, as a bunch of families, we have finally reached our breaking point. We've had enough.
Fred Guttenberg there says all the failed entities, some of them took responsibility years ago. Now they're just waiting, like the public schools, the Department of Justice. They've settled civil suits with the family, but now they want the sheriff's office to do the same thing.
Sheriff Greg Toney has publicly admitted that his agency is responsible, that they are guilty, and they have blood on their hands. But when the cameras are gone, their actions tell a different story.
17 people were killed, 17 wounded when a former student stormed that campus. It was February 14th of 2018. 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Of course, big Super Bowl weekend. Here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Lynn. Of course, we are looking ahead to Sunday evening, 6:30 p.m. kickoff there for Super Bowl 60. Seahawks 4.5-point favorites against the Patriots. And last night we had the NFL honors, so taking home MVP was Matthew Stafford, quarterback from the Los Angeles Rams. He said he'll be back in 2026. Some speculation that he might want to retire, but he'll be back. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Myles Garrett, the defensive end for the Cleveland Browns. Comeback Player of the Year goes to Christian McCaffrey out in San Francisco. Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel. You'll see him in the Super Bowl on Sunday. And Offensive Player of the Year goes to Jackson Smith-Njigba, the wide receiver from Seattle, who also you'll see on Sunday evening. And the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 26, you heard about the guys that didn't get in the last couple of weeks, but 5 players did get in, including quarterback Drew Brees and wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald. They were selected for enshrinement later this year. They'll be joined by kicker Adam Vinatieri and linebacker Luke Kuechly, who were in their second year of eligibility. And rounding out the class is running back Roger Craig, who was a seniors finalist. Head to the ice here in New Jersey. Bo Horvat broke a tie late in the third, and the Islanders went into the Olympic break with a 3-1 win over the Devils. Star New Jersey center Jack Hughes remained out for the 3rd straight game with a lower body injury. And still, New Jersey pummeled New York goalie Ilya Sorokin, forcing him to stop 23 of 24 shots in a rout to the Isles win. At the Garden, the Rangers got blanked 2-0 by the Carolina Hurricanes. Jonathan Quick made a season-high 41 saves for the Rangers, who were shut out for the 9th time this season and the 7th at home. They have lost 4 in a row heading into the Olympic break. Head to the hardwood. Your final from Orlando. Nets lost to the Magic 118-98. Up next for them, they'll play at home against Washington tomorrow afternoon. And the Knicks, they're back at it tonight out in Detroit against the Pistons. That is a 7:30 p.m. tip-off there. That's your sports. Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 519. The White House reiterating President Trump wants Congress to pass voter ID legislation. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked about it and also asked about the president suggesting the federal government should count votes in elections, not the individual states.
In states like California or in places like New York City, non-citizens are allowed to vote in state and local elections, and the federal government should absolutely do away with that.
And the White House press secretary says she spoke to the president, says he wants Republicans and Democrats to pass the SAVE Act and send it to his desk. The SAVE Act would require proof of U.S. citizenship to vote in federal elections.
And so this is a piece of federal legislation that will help states ensure the integrity and the sanctity of their elections, and that's what the president wants.
And overseas, the president has sent some people from the White House to take part in these nuclear talks between U.S. and Tehran. They're underway. I was looking at some pictures of the Iranian officials, American officials shaking hands ahead of this meeting. And more from Tony Waterman.
President Trump didn't say exactly what Supreme Leader Ayatollah al-Khamenei should be worried about, but the threat carries new weight after the U.S. captured Venezuela's now former leader, Nicolas Maduro, last month.
Yeah, the president saying yesterday that Iran's supreme leader should be worried ahead of these planned nuclear talks if they aren't fruitful.
Officials from Washington and Tehran will meet in Oman on Friday for nuclear talks, the first since the Trump administration struck Iran's nuclear facilities in June. Expectations are low that progress will be made.
Now, again, I was watching this morning as the two sides were shaking hands, and apparently those meetings are underway. 5:20. President Trump says he doesn't know how a person of faith can vote for a Democrat. Made the comment while speaking at the 74th National Prayer Breakfast yesterday.
They said, "Sir, you're going to be speaking at 7?" I said, "Really? Oh, that's wonderful." I said, "Where? National Prayer Breakfast." I said, "I'll be there. I'm afraid not to be. I need all the help I can get."
President used much of his speech before this group to highlight accomplishments over his first year back in office.
To support this exciting renewal this morning, I'm pleased to announce that on May 17th, 2026, that we're inviting Americans from all across the country to come together on our national mall to pray.
President covered a wide range of topics before this group, including that proposed voter ID we talked about and legislation, new energy legislation. 5:21 down to Texas, where Ofer Vince Shlomi, known as the ShamWow guy, remember those TV infomercials? Well, yesterday he announced he's running for Congress in Texas, and he's launched his first campaign ad.
"I'm going to soak up the swamp, clean the house, and pick out those liberal tears at the same time."
The video takes aim at the age of the incumbent, Congressman John Carter, who is 84 years old.
"Less blue-haired commies and more red-blooded Americans."
Okay, Shlomi was once a fixture. You remember him on late-night TV infomercials where he hawked the ShamWow towels and the Slap Chop food processor. If you're up late, you couldn't have missed those infomercials. 5:22. A major employment firm says layoffs across the U.S. last month were the highest for January since 2009.
U.S. employers announced over 108,000 layoffs for the month. That's up over 200% from December. Employment firm Challenger Gray & Christmas says at the same time, companies said there were just over 5,300 new hires in January, which was also the lowest for the month since 2009. Major companies, including Amazon, UPS, and Dow, have all recently announced substantial job cuts. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
The executive editor of the Washington Post yesterday, he was defending the sweeping cuts they made to their newsroom. 300 people laid off.
The layoffs impacted hundreds of the outlet's employees and is leading to widespread criticism of billionaire Jeff Bezos, who bought the Post in 2013. Washington Post editor Matt Murray defended the move to CNN, saying Bezos wants the Post to be a bigger, relevant, thriving institution. Murray also pushed back on criticism from the Post union, which blasted the owner and suggested that Bezos is no longer willing to invest in its mission. I'm Mark Mayfield.
523 down to Florida. You know, they've been through this cold spell kind of like we have. They had temps like in the low 30s, even lower. So the Florida iguana population gets stunned by this cold, and sometimes they just fall out of trees. So they had Florida iguana hunters out over the last couple days, and they captured at least 5,000 of these cold-stunned reptiles during the cold snap. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Commissioner says they allowed residents to capture the green iguanas and transport them to designated drop-off sites without a permit.
I'm extremely proud of our staff that worked really hard and with a lot of last-minute arrangements to make this happen and be such a successful event to remove our invasive species from the landscape in South Florida. Especially.
Maybe you've seen these videos online of these iguanas just falling out of trees. More than 500 cold-stunned turtles were rescued in northwest Florida. The animals will be humanely euthanized or transported for live pet sales.
During this period, staff received more than 5,200 iguanas at agency facilities. These actions resulted in the removal of invasive species from Florida's natural landscapes.
Yeah, a lot of people, of course, down in Florida don't have heat, so they had to bring in these space heaters to warm up their apartments and houses. 524, a new report shows the nation's supply of beef cows is dropping more than predicted. With fewer cattle comes, of course, higher prices for us.
We've been basically at record high levels of retail beef prices, and I think that's going to continue.
That's David Anderson of Texas A&M. He says that a months-long drought is being blamed for this decline.
If we have fewer cows, we're going to have fewer calves and less beef production. Yeah, that's not a great picture for us consumers. From the supply side, the pressure is on for continued high prices.
Yeah, he says the prices will remain high for a little while longer. 525, a nationwide recall of Chips Ahoy Baked Bites Brookie. Okay. A Brookie, I think, is that a cookie and a brownie? I think that's what it is. Being expanded now.
According to the FDA, the updated recall alert was issued Wednesday to include additional pouches of the product, which were sold at a limited number of retail stores nationwide. Mondelez Global LLC first announced the voluntary recall in December due to an incorrect mixing process that resulted in the formation of small cornstarch clumps in the product. According to the alert, there have been no reports of injury or illness, and no other Chips Ahoy or Mondelez Global LLC products are included in the recall. I'm Lisa Carton.
That's why you have to stay with the old school Chip Ahoys, the original ones, the crunchy ones. Never a problem with those. It is February, and it is National Self-Check Month. I didn't know this till this very moment, but Dr. John Haniak, he's at the Cleveland Clinic, and he says self-checks means looking for anything that seems abnormal on your body.
Sometimes I look at them as sort of like your check engine light on the car, just like there would be a red flashing light that tells you that there's something wrong with the car and prompts you to bring that in and get serviced. Your body does the same thing. It gives you warning signs.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. He says that includes weight loss, blood in your urine, bumps, bruises that won't heal, changes in skin, mole spots. He says self-checks are incredibly important for early cancer detection and identifying possible other illnesses. And he says, of course, if you see something like that, give the doctor a holler right away. 527, traffic, transit on the 7s. Here's Joe Nolan.
I'd be doing that all day if I was self-checking me. I had so many things wrong with me.
I think all of us. You know, once you get to this age, man, it's all downhill.
I know, it's all downhill from here. Well, it's all downhill. See how we see, folks. Don't try to do this at home. We're professionals.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, February 6th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. A mostly cloudy day on the way. We could get a dusting of snow tonight here in the city. If you're out in Suffolk County, it could be 1 to 3 inches of snow. The high today, 32. And then the weekend's going to be cold. Saturday, cloudy, windy, the high 24. Super Bowl Sunday, sunny, but bitterly cold, the high just 17. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 16 cloudy and Rye up in Westchester County. It's 14 and cloudy in Edison over in New Jersey. And it's 13 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 541. There were protests and arrests on day 25. It's 25 days of the New York City nurses' strike. They also said there was some progress in negotiation between the three hospitals they're striking against, but they were out on the picket line. And one of the rallies took place outside of the League of Voluntary Hospitals, which is on West 57th Street. And that rally started off like most of these rallies have over the last 25 days.
So we're speaking out against these hospital executives here at their home base, the Greater New York Hospital Association. Let's hear what we think of the Greater New York Hospital Association. For consistently putting profits and their own pockets ahead of our humane care for our patients.
All right, when that speech was over, a number of the nurses locked arms and blocked the entrance to it, and there were arrests. And one of the people who was arrested, one of the nurses, said he knew he was going to be arrested in his first time in his life, but he said he thought it was the right thing to do.
For the first time in my life, I'm going to deliberately break the law. I know there's a proud history of people submitting to arrest when they see something that's wrong, and what we've seen over the past 3.5 weeks on the strike line from this association and our hospitals has been really, really wrong.
Now, it has been visiting nurses taking the place of these nurses at the three hospitals they're striking against. It is now a month that they have not been paid, the nurses that are on the picket line. The remaining sticking points, wages, health care benefits, and safe staffing standards. Thursday, which was yesterday, it marked the 1-year anniversary of congestion pricing. Oh, isn't that nice?
The MTA and Governor Hochul are doing a victory lap, claiming that congestion pricing's been a rousing success.
Traffic entering the congestion zone is down 11%. 27 million fewer cars going into that zone over the last year. 27 million.
Economically, the MTA reached its revenue target of $500 million, which MTA Chair Janno Lieber says it's now using on capital improvements on the subways, buses, and commuter rails. I'm Lisa Ritchie, 77 WABC News.
Now, they claim because of congestion pricing, your time in traffic is less. That has not been my experience. Leaving in the middle of the day, it takes me as long to get home as it did before congestion pricing. Family, friends, fellow members of law enforcement saying their final goodbyes in Nassau County yesterday to a police officer who was killed on her way to work last weekend by a suspected drunk driver. The funeral service for 42-year-old Officer Patricia Espinoza took place at St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Church in Smithtown.
She was a superwoman, the best person in my life. We're never forgotten Patty. She's gonna live in our heart always, always, forever, forever.
Espinoza, that's a family member, by the way. Espinoza was a native of Ecuador, had been with the Nassau County Police Department since 2017, served in the 5th Precinct in Elmont, the St. James resident being remembered for her infectious smile and the fact that she would do anything for anyone. The police commissioner showed up. Strangers who did not know her showed up.
She just wanted to make everybody better.
Law enforcement is a family that always sticks together. But when, you can draw this many people for a non-line of duty death, it says something about who she was.
She leaves behind her husband, Nassau County Police Officer Francisco Malaga, and their daughter Mia, who's not yet 2 years old. In a moment, we'll stay on Long Island and we'll tell you about a teacher who's been fired for comments they made in the classroom. We'll get into that in just a moment. For first 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Eller.
Thank you, Noam Layden. It is the Friday before Super Bowl Sunday, 6:30 p.m. kickoff. Come Sunday evening for Super Bowl 60. Seahawks 4.5-point favorites against the Patriots. You had the NFL honors last night, taking home MVP Matt Stafford, quarterback from the LA Rams, Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, over in Cleveland. Comeback Player of the Year was Christian McCaffrey, the running back from San Francisco. Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel. from New England. You'll see him on Sunday, and also you'll see on Sunday the Offensive Player of the Year in Jackson Smith-Njigba for the Seahawks. And the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 26, you heard about everybody who didn't make it the last couple of weeks, but 5 players, including quarterback Drew Brees and wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald, were selected for enshrinement later this year. They'll be joined by kicker Adam Vinatieri and linebacker Luke Kuechly, who were in their second year of eligibility. And rounding out the class is running back Roger Craig, who is a seniors finalist.
How old is Roger Craig?
That's a really good question. I don't know. You got to look that one up.
He took a while to get in there.
Oh, yeah. Seniors finalist. But a loss. He gets it done. Out in New Jersey, Bo Horvath broke a tie late in the third period. The Islanders went into the Olympic break with a 3-1 win over the Devils. And at the Garden, the Rangers got blanked 2-0 by the Carolina Hurricanes. They've lost 4 in a row heading into the break. And to the hardwood in Orlando, the Nets lost 118-98 to the Magic. Up next for them, the Nets, that is, they'll play at home against Washington tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, the Knicks, they're back in action in Detroit against the Pistons. That's a 7:30 p.m. tip-off there. That's your sports.
Roger Craig, by the way, is 65 years old.
Oh, that's not so bad.
No.
All right. Well, congrats.
At least he got in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's got some little, as long as he's relatively healthy, he's got some time to enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right. Congrats to Roger Craig. How about that?
Exactly.
That's your Sports Gnome. I'm Justin Alex, 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:48. Let's head out to Long Island. You remember the story we told you about a nurse who was accused of slapping a 5-year-old inside a Port Jefferson Station, Long Island home? Well, he was arraigned in court yesterday. The incident was caught on camera inside the home. According to police, Bruno Valenzuela was caring for this 5-year-old Maverick in their family's home back in December, and the boy started coughing and crying when Valenzuela slapped the child on his back and chest, leaving the kid with bruises. The boy's father says Maverick has cerebral palsy, complex medical needs, and is nonverbal. And so they knew something was wrong when they saw the bruises, so they set up a camera and they caught Valenzuela in the act. So the father, you can imagine how destroyed the parents were when they saw this, leaving their kid with this guy, not knowing what he was doing to him. Here he was talking about the indictment and his day in court yesterday.
It's been hard for us, my wife and I, very emotional still. Still a lot that we have to deal with on a daily basis, different emotions and getting past things and getting used to things again.
Don't you feel like you want to go slap around this guy? The charges Valenzuela is facing are not cash bail eligible, which means he cannot be held behind bars, even though he's on camera slapping this kid. I don't even suggest you go watch it because I did this morning and it's just horrible. So the boy's family says now they're trying to get back to normal. And, of course, they're going to have to hire other people to help take care of this 5-year-old. But now, of course, you don't trust anybody.
It's hard to trust people. Yeah. It's hard to get back into a rhythm and feel comfortable with people.
Yeah, just an awful situation there. While we're out on Long Island, a substitute teacher from the Roosevelt School District has been fired after he made some comments about ICE in the classroom to a group of students. This happened on Wednesday morning. He was a substitute teacher, and he was in the classroom, and students were signing fake names during attendance. We all did that when we were kids. When the substitute was in, you'd put funny names on or whatever. Well, that's what the kids were doing, and he got very upset. So he yelled at the students, and a lot of these students are kids of foreign-born parents, and he said he was going to call ICE on them.
He said, or we could call ICE on you, very loud, just yelled it out in front of the classroom. As a teacher, we look up to you, and you're supposed to be one of the leaders in our community.
Yeah, so the students sent a complaint to the school superintendent, the principal, and they gave this teacher the boot now.
I'm just glad that the school did hear me out, but I still feel like the communication on their end could have been way, way better.
All right, let's bring it back into the city. Mayor Mamdani taking first steps at getting free child care for 2-year-olds for the first time in the city. Expansion of child care for 3 years old. He says the cost of child care has been pushing New Yorkers out of the city that they call home, and he says it's time for that to end.
Today, we are launching a request for information, as well as a survey to expand childcare capacity citywide, and a critical step toward making universal childcare a reality
now
in the city.
That request for information will allow providers to express interest in working with the city for the launch of the 2K service and the expansion of the 3K service. It comes after the mayor's initial announcement of 2K service. You'll remember that alongside Governor Hochul last month. And while we're talking about the mayor, yesterday he gave his endorsement to Kathy Hochul's reelection bid. First, it was an op-ed for The Nation that came out Thursday morning, and then during this press conference yesterday, he talked about that op-ed and the fact that Governor Hochul picked ex-City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams as his her lieutenant governor candidate. Here he was yesterday.
This is an endorsement that I make as a reflection of how Governor Hochul is leading this state. That leadership has included transforming the relationship between the city and state from one that has often been characterized by pettiness and making it one that is characterized more by productivity.
Now, he made this endorsement ahead of the state Democratic convention, which takes place today. He highlighted that he's had recent victories with the governor establishing this new era of a relationship between Albany and the city. He said, he doesn't agree with everything on her in terms of protecting New Yorkers from ICE and how that's done.
I continue to believe that the wealthiest among us can pay a little bit more, and I also believe that we must be able to disagree honestly while still delivering for the people that we serve. And over the past 6 months, that's exactly what I have seen been done with the governor and myself.
And Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, who's running as the Republican in this race, reacting to that endorsement.
Blakeman is the frontrunner for the GOP nomination for governor, and he wasted no time in criticizing Mayor Mamdani's backing of Governor Hochul. In a statement, Blakeman accused Hochul of cutting a backroom deal with Mamdani to push a socialist agenda in Albany to secure the endorsement. He says whatever the deal was, hardworking men and women are the ones who will pay the price. Blakeman remains the only mainstream candidate on the Republican ticket after Congresswoman Elise Stefanik dropped out of the race in December.
WABC News Time 554. Over to New Jersey, where lawmakers are considering bills to make home buying more affordable now.
A package of bills before the Senate Community and Urban Affairs Committee Thursday aims at helping people buy homes in the state by setting up a first-time home buyer savings program and set up an initiative to help veterans. And as for hedge funds and other corporate investors, well, another measure would limit how many single-family homes they can buy and require LLCs disclose the owner's name. The package also has measures that lawmakers hope would lead to towns being more transparent when it comes to who's getting property tax exemptions and abatements. I'm Levon Putney.
Did you see this billboard in Times Square that said the California Jets, suggesting the Jets could move to California? Gavin Newsom, something about the governor. James Flippin explains exactly what that billboard's all about.
A group of businesses from the Los Angeles area paid for the billboard, which is 56 feet by 29 feet. It's on the side of a building at the corner of 43rd Street and Broadway. It's got a photoshopped image of California Governor Gavin Newsom wearing a football jersey in Jets colors with California on the front instead of the Jets. The billboard says he's number one in high taxes and homelessness, and his record is worse than the Jets. Newsom has a dejected look on his face. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
And we'll end with this story. The Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn is set to become the first on the East Coast to implement what they called natural organic reduction. It's also known as human composting. They don't use that term. Considered to be environmentally conscious alternative to a traditional burial or cremation. So it became legal in New York in 2022, but Brooklyn's Greenwood Cemetery is the first to offer it up. They were talking about it yesterday.
People are very, very interested in making sure that they have sustainable ways to remember their family, but especially in New York City, where density and real estate are real issues and commodities.
Yes, so under the process, remains, a body, are placed into a vessel full of organic material, and over several weeks, they're transformed into soil that can be used to nourish the cemetery's plant life. Are you on board with this?
They sit in a pod for 40 days, and over that time, and with some gentle rocking, the whole entire pod becomes earth. And that's earth that we use to sustain our landscape.
So Greenwood is partnering with this German company to provide this option for families. You won't be able to really take part in it till early next year. Now, some religious leaders oppose this practice.
The Catholic Church opposes human composting because we believe the remains of human beings who are made in the image and likeness of God should not be treated like manure or fertilizer.
Yeah, that's definitely one way of looking at it. Now, if you're looking to save money, human composting will be the way to go. Costs usually fall between $4,000 to $7,000 right now. A funeral costs a lot more than that.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.